Presented by Honda. At the Model Clearout event, it's the best time to team up with a Honda you'll love.
Back here in Boston for the final game of this series between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. Here at historic Fenway Park, as they like to call it here in Boston, America's most beloved ballpark. And the Red Sox are looking for the sweep, taking the first game 7-2 and then winning last night as well in a 1-0 game. John Gibbons has rolled out this lineup tonight. You got kids top and bottom with Gurriel leading off and Reese McGuire hitting ninth. We focus in the lineup on a couple of veterans. Justin Smoke, who has had some very good numbers against Red Sox pitching so far this season, and Kendrys Morales, who has done some damage against tonight's starter for the Red Sox, left-hander Eduardo Rodriguez.
Eduardo Rodriguez, the Blue Jays saw him back in July, and unfortunately he was injured in that ball game, and he was out for quite a while. He has returned starting on the 1st of September. This will be his third start since then. He is really having a good season. It's unfortunate the injury knocked him out for a long time. He sprained his ankle in that collision with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., but this was his breakthrough seasons. He was acquired as a minor leaguer when they traded Andrew Miller from Boston to Baltimore, but he's got a good fastball. He'll throw a cutter a lot and a very good changeup, but this is the third lefty the Blue Jays have seen in this series, and they haven't fared well against the lefties.
Here's the injury that Buck was talking about. July the 14th here at Fenway Park. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. was the batter. It's a little chopper to the right side. He's hustling to the bag. Rodriguez is coming over, and both players get injured on the play. Gurriel suffered a concussion when he got kicked in the head, inadvertently, of course, by Rodriguez, and then Rodriguez landed awkwardly on his right ankle, and he actually ended up missing more time. He missed about 7 weeks with that sprained ankle. Both fortunately okay. And in the case of Rodriguez, he factors into the Red Sox playoff rotation right now, probably lining up as their number 4 guy.
The unfortunate part of that play is Blake Swihart was making just his third start at first base, and his throw was behind Rodriguez, and that's what created that collision at first.
Gurriel Jr. in the leadoff spot tonight for the Blue Jays, and we're underway at Fenway. Well, the first pitch foul off. 20 degrees Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit, under mostly clear skies here in Boston. Gurriel hitting .282 on the season. He is in the leadoff spot for the 7th time this year. He's hit all over the place in the lineup, but a lot of guys have moved around both in the field and in the batting order. This is his 30th start at shortstop for the Blue Jays this year, and including that infield hit that he had off Rodriguez back in July. Small sample size, but he is 3 for 6 against Rodriguez in his career, which of course spans just this season. Took a strike, 1-2.
That's the cutter that Rodriguez will throw an awful lot. He will throw it much like David Price. He'll use it to the outside to the right-handers, then he'll throw it inside as well. He really puts both sides of the plate in the hitter's mind early in this game.
And inside corner, strike 3 called.
Take a look at the defense with one out here in the top half of the first inning. It's Benintendi in left, Jackie Bradley in center, and J.D. Martinez is in right. This is his 20th start in right field, his 52nd start overall. He has DH, but they like to get him out in the outfield. He's an everyday player in his mind. Last year between Detroit and Arizona, he made 112 starts in the outfield, but he likes to get out there. He feels like he's more of a complete player when he's playing in the field.
Here's Yangervis Solarte dancing out of the way of a down and in first pitch from Eduardo Rodriguez, and Solarte still down on his knees right now as that cutter ran way in towards his back foot. Solarte's in the lineup at second base tonight. He's played more third than second, but John Gibbons trying to rotate everybody in that line. You can see the right foot backing out of the way. Now he sends a fly ball to left field. It's hanging up for Andrew Benintendi. Easy play, 2 down. You mentioned J.D. Martinez in the outfield. Should the Red Sox get to the World Series, when they play games in the National League Park, he's comfortable enough that Alex Cora can put him in there in the outfield. And I mean, maybe Jackie Bradley Jr. sits. It's a tough call. He's such a great center fielder, but he's not the hitter that any of the other guys are. But it's not like they'd be throwing somebody in the outfield in a World Series game who hasn't been there the entire season.
No, he is very, very capable of playing in the outfield, whether it's right field or left field.
Couple of quick outs for Rodriguez, and here's Justin Smoke. And Eduardo Rodriguez has that cutter working early.
Rodriguez is 25 years old. As we mentioned, he was signed by the Orioles as a free agent out of Venezuela. And at the time of the trade, he was pitching in Double-A. And he wasn't pitching very well. He was 3-7, but the Red Sox did a good job of scouting their minor league system in Baltimore and plucked Eduardo Rodriguez in exchange for Andrew Miller.
Pretty solid deal on both sides. One player who was right in his prime in Miller, of course, and then a young pitcher with a lot of potential in Rodriguez.
Rodriguez came to the big leagues that next season in 2015 and won 10 games.
He's battled some knee injuries over the course of his career, but when he's been healthy, he's been pretty good, and he's been good this year. 12-4 with a 3.64 ERA. Right on the inside edge again.
Well, this is what he will do, as we mentioned in that first at bat with Gurriel. He went inside, went outside, back and forth, makes you think about the cutter away, and then surprises you with that fastball inside.
Full count. Smoke with 24 homers, 74 RBIs on the season, and 821 OPS, which is actually the best of any first baseman in the American League. If you look at all the guys who have accumulated a certain minimum number of plate appearances as a first baseman, Smoke's got the best OPS of all of them, and he's not quite having the year that he had last year, but he's still having a pretty good season. And granted, you look at some of the names for first baseman in the American League, there aren't a lot of huge numbers. There are actually 6 first basemen in the National League who have a better OPS than Smoke has, but he is #1 among American League first basemen.
I think the one thing you have to remember with Smoke is he's had the second best home run season of his career this year. Last year he hit 38 and was an all-star, but he's got 24 now.
Swing and a miss as Rodriguez gets him. He strikes out 2 in a 3-up, 3-down. Top of the first, it'll be Sam Gaviglio to the mound for the Blue Jays when we come back. At great old Fenway Park, the home of the Red Sox, final game of this 3-game series, and to look at the team with the best record and the best offense in all of baseball this year. And with Mookie Betts not in the lineup tonight for the Red Sox, Andrew Benintendi moves into the leadoff spot, and he's quietly had a terrific year here in Boston. And in the cleanup spot, JD Martinez, who's kind of wrecking everybody this year. He is second in the league in home runs. He leads the majors in RBIs, and he has been pain for the Blue Jays this year, including a couple of home runs off Sam Gaviglio this season.
Sam Gaviglio making his 23rd appearance of the season. His first 2 appearances for the Blue Jays this season were both in relief against the Boston Red Sox, and he actually won the game. His first appearance in relief. He pitched 3 good innings in relief when he first came up from AAA Buffalo. This is his 3rd start of the season. He started that game in which Eduardo Rodriguez and Gurriel were both injured. He pitched 3 1/3, was knocked out in that game early. He struggled with his command and was out of the game early in that ball game.
Coming off a defeat against the Indians his last time out. Here's Benintendi, first pitch swinging, and he hits a ground ball right to Solarte at second. 1 pitch, 1 out for Gavilia.
Well, defensively, the Blue Jays in the outfield, Hernandez, Pilar, and Randall Grichuk. Behind the plate, Reese McGuire makes his 3rd start of the season, but it's the 6th time he has caught Sam Gavilia. McGuire is really technically sound behind the plate. He presents a great target. He's a very good blocker. He's got a very quick release when he's throwing out base runners. In his minor league career, he threw out 37% of the base runners trying to steal bases. He's a very good-looking young catcher.
We'll tell you more about him as the night goes along. Kind of an interesting story how he came to the Blue Jays organization as Ian Kinsler looks at his strike. Veteran second baseman who picked up in a deal at the end of July from the Angels, hitting .249 overall, hitting .287 in 25 games in a Red Sox uniform. Red Sox adding, of course, Steve Pearce from the Blue Jays, Ian Kinsler, so they picked up some veterans, giving them a little bit more depth and versatility. Everybody wants options these days. 0-2's popped up. And Smoke just in fair territory, 2 down. He has a good time out there, doesn't he? He's not a boisterous guy, but Justin Smoke likes coming to the ballpark and getting out there, and you can see the way he interacts with his teammates too.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that he doesn't say a lot, but when he does say something, it's generally got a little bit of a dig in it. There's a little smirky smile on his face right there. Hey, what are you doing over there? You should come over here and catch that ball.
2 down and the base is empty, no score. Here's Mitch Moreland, the first baseman. And Gavilio's command very early has been very good as he's right over the outside corner. The shift is on as Gurriel has come around to the right side of the infield. Aledmus Diaz, who's the third baseman, alone kind of in the shortstop spot on the left side. Moreland is a guy who every now and again will push a bunt. But he's obviously not going to do that here. It's now 0-2.
Moreland had a great first half to his season. He's dropped off a bit in the second half. But he, as we mentioned last night, got a big hit on Sunday to salvage the final game of that 3-game series against the Astros. Take a look at the shift. The StatCast is brought to you by AI, and it's presented by AWS. And you can see Gurriel, the shortstop, basically straightaway second. Solarte's out in right field, and Smoke guarding the line over at first base.
One-two. Down and in, 2-2 now on Moreland with J.D. Martinez open for a shot this inning.
I spoke to Reese McGuire today about what he wanted to do with Sam Gavilia behind the plate. He says we've got to throw first pitch strikes, especially with this dangerous lineup. He said I watched from the dugout the last 2 days and watched these hitters and how they like to work things, and I think we have to throw all of our pitches for strikes early in the at-bats. Mix it up effectively.
Great location inside corner to freeze Moreland, and it's a very good 1-2-3 first inning for Sam Gavilia.
the least. And the list of things that make this ballpark so special go on and on and on. The green monster, the scoreboard, but maybe the most special thing about Fenway Park isn't anything you can see or anything that's actually still here. No, it's all the famous names that have come through and played right here on this field. Babe Ruth, then all the famous Yankees that sat right next to me here in this visiting dugout, Joe DiMaggio, Lou Gehrig. The list goes on and on. You name a famous baseball player, and they have sat right here in these dugouts. And all that history isn't lost on the young Blue Jays players who have the opportunity to play here. In fact, Jonathan Davis told me earlier today that it was a thrill to get his first major league hit against a guy like David Price, but to do it in this building made it all that much more special. And after last night's game, Rowdy Tellez was asked, what's so special about playing here? He said, Babe Ruth played here. It's just that simple. John Gibbons also added that the chance for him to send these young guys out to have that experience is something he'll never forget.
And it's something they'll never forget. Here's a shot down the right field line. It'll drop in fair and skip up into the seats. And that'll be a ground rule double for Kendrys Morales to lead off the top of the second.
Well, there's one of those balls that Mookie Betts might be able to make the catch on because he's got such great explosive acceleration. But J.D. Martinez is playing in right. This ball's hit right off the end of the bat. A little flare down the right field line. Of course, you have to respect the power of Morales. And there's J.D. Martinez hustling over, but he can't get there in time. Now, I'm not saying for sure that Mookie Betts would have caught it, but he certainly would have had a better shot at it. But that's what you get when you just give him a day off and you have to put J.D. Martinez in there.
So leadoff double. Here's Randal Grichuk batting fifth, playing right tonight as he takes the cutter inside for ball one.
There's no question in the first two games of this series, the Blue Jays haven't been able to execute fundamentally to beat the good Red Sox club. They haven't advanced runners. They haven't gotten the guys over when they need to. And this is another one of those situations.
They've certainly gotten the starting pitching to compete in the first two games, but have not been able to do what they've needed to do in other areas of the game in order to win them.
The most difficult part of a baseball team is to get players to understand that you have to execute fundamentally as a team if you're going to win ball games. And the Blue Jays just haven't been able to do that.
Swing and a miss by Grichuk, 2-1.
The Red Sox last night executed a hit and run to perfection, and they were able to score the only run of the ball game on a wild pitch. You just have to put yourself in those easy run producing situations, and Alex Cora's done a terrific job with this ball club this season.
Grichuk hitting .244, 21 homers. And remember April, how rough it was. He was hitting around 100 in the month of April. Had a couple of injuries in the spring, probably trying too hard as he came to a new team, and had just a miserable month. And then he got hurt and spent about a month on the shelf. And when he came back, he's just been a different player. And if you take his numbers since he's come back and kind of extrapolate them over a full season, he's hit .274 since he's come back, and Buck, he'd be on something like a 40 double, 35 homer, 850 OPS pace over an entire season based on what he's done the last 3.5 months. Rodriguez, though, will get him here for the first out.
Yeah, there's that inside cutter again for Rodriguez, and another strikeout, 3 already in this ball game. But again, an empty at bat by a Blue Jays hitter in a situation where you need to move the runner. That's a slider, a little bit more of a break on this breaking ball, down and in, and Grichuk swings over the top of it.
And already 3 strikeouts for the lefty as Kevin Pillar steps in, hitting .247 with a dozen homers. So left to right, it's Hernandez, Pillar, and Grichuk in the outfield tonight. The Blue Jays seeing a lefty in all 3 games in this series. So Billy McKinney just started 1 of the 3 games. When the Blue Jays get to New York, they will see 2 right-handers. They'll see Tanaka in 1 game, Lance Lynn in 1 game. They'll also see CC Sabathia. So more of an opportunity for McKinney, you would think, as here's a fly ball to center field. Catch is made by Bradley, and Morales not going anywhere. 2 down.
So after the leadoff double by Morales, he hasn't moved an inch off second base. And if the Blue Jays are going to become a contending team, they've got to become more fundamentally sound playing team baseball. Just move it up, especially when you're playing these good ball clubs, because they aren't going to give you a whole lot of hits. And as a team, the Blue Jays have the fewest singles in baseball. They've only hit 699 singles. But that double by Morales was the 500th extra base hit the Blue Jays have had this season. Third most in baseball.
2 down. Here's Teoscar Hernandez. And he's a big extra base hit guy. More than half of his hits are for extra bases this year. As he lines one into left field, that's a base hit. But Morales will not be able to score. Ball hit too sharply right at Benintendi, who's got a good arm. And Morales' lack of foot speed doesn't even make him think about trying to turn the corner.
No, and that's why Benintendi has 11 outfield assists, because it's so short in left field. He can play so shallow. And when the ball is hit to left field, he is not very deep at all when he picks it up. So there's not even a thought of trying to score Morales from second. And I'm not taking a thing away from Benintendi's arm. He's a very good outfielder with a terrific arm, but that's why he has racked up so many assists. He's not that deep when he picks up the baseball.
So here's an inning where, because of a lack of execution, as you said, and a lack of speed in the case of Morales, it's going to take the Blue Jays 3 hits to score a run.
After a leadoff double.
Right, which is, you know, it's tough to string hits together with strikeouts being as big in the game as they are right now. Aledmus Diaz with a chopper towards third. Nunez has it, and the Blue Jays will leave a couple of men on. They get a double and a single, but they don't score. No score going bottom 2.
J3583 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. The entry box can be found in your My Blue Jays homepage, and the code must be entered by 4 a.m. Dan, talk to you.
All right, Sean, thank you. So Blue Jay fans, as always, in attendance here at a road game. And sure to see some more over the next 3 days in New York and then in Baltimore as the Blue Jays wrap up this long road trip.
Here you see a lot of fans from the Maritimes, obviously, and before the Blue Jays were in existence, they were all Red Sox fans. And everybody would come down to Boston to watch Major League Baseball, but now the Blue Jay fans come down to cheer on their own team.
J.D. Martinez leading off the bottom of the second. Sam Gaviglio getting the Red Sox in order in the first. Martinez second in the league in a batting average, second in the league in home runs, and comfortably in first in RBIs. Triple Crown seems like a long shot, given some of the ground he'd have to make up in a batting average, but whether that happens or not, it's still been a remarkable first season in a Boston uniform. Martinez at 329, and it's his teammate Mookie Betts who leads the American League in batting average at 340.
Let me tell you about Reese McGuire. Those last 2 pitches he has caught have been textbook perfect. Watch how quiet he is. There's not a lot of movement. He just holds the glove right there. He receives it. He's not trying to frame it. He's not trying to move it. He just receives it. And by being that quiet, he sends a positive message to the umpire. The umpire sees no movement at all. He says, well, the catcher thinks it's a strike. He's not trying to sell it to me. So those kinds of subtleties umpires really appreciate. And then they get into the flow of the game with the catcher, not so much with the pitcher.
asked John Gibbons before the game, what has he seen from McGuire in the brief time he's been in the big leagues? And of course, Gibby has seen him in spring training as well. And Gibby said, kind of in this order, first, I think the bat is pretty good. He likes the bat, but then he talked a lot about his defensive work. And remember, of course, Gibby was a catcher when he played, as you were, Buck. And he says he loves, just as you do, as this ball is driven to deep right field and put a hold on the story, because J.D. Martinez just took Sam Gaviglio out of the park for the third time this season to give the Red Sox a 1-0 lead.
That might be the most impressive aspect of J.D. Martinez's season. The power that he has to the opposite field in this big ballpark. I mean, that is a long way to the opposite field to hit a home run into the bullpen in right. But watch how he stays on this breaking ball. It's not necessarily a bad pitch, but it's a breaking ball strike. Again, we talk about a two-strike approach to a great hitter. It's got to be a strike to ball breaking ball. You can't leave a breaking ball in the strike zone to these great hitters.
Number 41 on the season to tie Oakland's Chris Davis for the American League lead. And Boston's got a 1-0 lead.
But J.D. Martinez really cuts his swing down with 2 strikes, and anything in the zone, he's going to target right center with 2 strikes, and he's got enough power to hit it into the bullpen and right. That's a long way for a right-handed hitter.
Xander Bogaerts chops one foul, 1-1 on the Red Sox shortstop.
Got a season, 36 doubles, a triple, and 41 home runs now.
Leading the league in hits, 3rd in on-base percentage, 1st in slugging percentage, 2nd in extra base hits. Ground ball down to 3rd. Aledmus Diaz almost pulled Smoke off the bag and right into the path of the runner, but Smoke hung in there, 1 down.
I think Bogaerts sensed that throw was very close to him as he was getting near the bag at first base. Smoke does it perfectly as he goes into foul ground. Once the throw is on line, you can't hang out in fair territory. You've got to shift your feet and move to the foul side of first base, and he makes a play easily. And Diaz gives him a tough throw, but look how he switched feet. He was set up with his left foot on the bag and had to go to his right foot in foul territory. He can really play first. We talk about Smoke and his bat, but he can really play first.
1 down. Here's Blake Swihart, who was one of the 3 catchers the Red Sox have on the roster, but he is DHing tonight. Switch hitter batting .228, and a guy who has appeared at 6 different positions for the Red Sox and figures to be potentially in play, at least on the playoff roster, as a utility guy, pinch hitter, and maybe even a catcher. They have warmed up a little bit on his catching skills over the last couple of months.
It was really interesting. When he first came up back in 2015, he caught in 83 games. And I thought he was doing all right. But the prospects of having a switch hitting catcher are pretty special. And he's very athletic. In fact, they had him in left field the day he injured his ankle against the Blue Jays. He went down into that left field corner and stepped awkwardly onto that overhead gate down there and sprained his ankle. That cost him a couple of months of the season. But I was kind of intrigued by him behind the plate because he's such a good athlete.
And I think they've held on to him for a reason. I'm sure they could have dealt him, thought about dealing him, I should say, when they were going out and making some trades. I'm sure there was interest from other teams because of his versatility, and he's been a guy who has shown some promise at times. Well, they've held on to him, and now he might be back in play in October. Here's Eduardo Nunez, the 3rd baseman, hitting .261 with 10 homers. 1-0 Boston on the home run by J.D. Martinez to lead off the bottom of the 2nd. The Red Sox with 100 wins already on the season to just 46 defeats. They're the first team since the Seattle Mariners in 2001 to have 100 wins through their first 146 games of the season, and they, as you can see, they're home and cooled out for the American League East. 10 games up with 16 to go.
They're nearly a perfect team. And I say nearly because of their concerns out there in the bullpen,
which can really bite you in October.
They hit for high average. They hit well with 2 strikes. They steal bases. They hit home runs. They play great defense. They've got a terrific closer. But the bridge between the starter to the closer is a wooden bridge right now, a foot bridge, if you will.
Dave Dombrowski knows that. Alex Cora is aware of it. They're without Matt Barnes, one of their key relievers, and kind of having some open auditions in the 7th and 8th inning. See who might best line up in those spots in the playoffs. 1-1 on Nunez. At the risk of somebody else knocking another one out of the ballpark. Back to what Gibby was saying about Reese McGuire before the game, because he really likes him behind the plate. Talked about him being quiet, good target, the same kinds of things that you've said. And then a couple of times he said, you know what, he goes, the kid's a tough nut too. He's a really tough kid, has not been wowed or in awe of anything at the major league level. Kind of split time with Danny Jansen. Each of them did some DHing at Buffalo, and they kind of split time behind the plate. But Gibby thinks this tandem's got a chance to be a pretty good 1-2 punch together going forward.
Yeah, it was the first time for either McGuire or Jansen to share the catching duties with anybody in their minor league career. But it was a good lesson for them. And you know what? And I'm going to give credit to Ken Huckabee, because he started this in spring training. He has the catchers working out intensely with each other, and then they will grade each other on blocks, on throwing, on releasing, and all of their different little strengths. And he has them all working together, so it's quite a core. And as we mentioned, they have 9 catching prospects, including Jansen and McGuire. That's a ton.
And by that you mean players where the organization legitimately thinks they could be big league players.
Yes.
Runner is going right up the middle. Step on second by Solarte, but then safe at first, as his throw pulled Smoke off the bag, and Smoke couldn't get back there in time. And down at first is Nunez, and he's going to get a little bit of a medical attention to make sure he's okay.
Nunez kind of stumbled over the first base bag and ended up in a heap. But Solarte, once he caught the ball at second, he had a lot more time just to take his extra step. The ball's going to take him right to the bag. So there's the easy out. He didn't need to rush his throw. Look where Nunez was. Yeah. And then Nunez got all caught up in whether he should slide or whatever. But once you tag the base right here, Solarte's got all kinds of time. He didn't have to make that throw. Smoke even had a shot at getting back to the base before Nunez, but then Nunez stumbles over the bag, as he kind of anticipated he was going to be out easily.
Boy, Nunez had conceded that he was going to be out. You're exactly right. And then stubbed his toe when it looked like he rolled his ankle a little bit, but he'll stay in the game. But that's where you talk about the internal clock, knowing who's running, that sort of thing. And Solarte tried to make a tougher play than he needed to make.
And this is the 3rd straight game we've seen the Blue Jays not make plays that are right there given to them. And that was a double play.
And that's one of those, it doesn't show up in the box score. There's no error charged on that play. It's just a fielder's choice, but a play that should have ended the inning. Here's Christian Vasquez, the catcher.
Well, especially in this ballpark. You give them extra outs in this ballpark, the next guy up's liable to whack it out of the yard.
And Solarte, in his time with the Blue Jays, I think most would agree, has looked more comfortable at 3rd than at 2nd. But the rotation continues. Devin Travis not in the lineup tonight, so Solarte is at 2nd. Diaz is getting a lot of play at 3rd. By and large, has played very well over there. Richard Urania, they try to spot him in every now and again. Vasquez, who hit .290 last year, is hitting just .212 this year. Missed 7 weeks with a fractured finger. Just came back when the roster's expanded at the beginning of September. Bilio trying to work around that last play and get out of this without any further damage being done. And a ground ball to short. This should do it, and it will, as Nunez is forced at 2nd. But the Red Sox get the first run of the night on the 41st home run of the season from the unstoppable force this year, that is J.D. Martinez. He and Brock Holt hugging it out of the dugout, and they're equally happy getting a souvenir out in the stands.
Antonio's AT&T Center as the big dog puts his Universal Championship on the line. It's WWE Hell in a Cell Sunday on the WWE Network. Guys, if a Rage in the Cage doesn't get you going, I don't know what does.
I'm not sure you've got the target audience up here in the booth tonight, Sean. In me and Buck.
The Rage in the Cage.
But we'll play along.
I'm sure it'll be great.
1-0 Boston to go into the top of the third here at Fenway. And here's Reese McGuire. Batting in the 9th spot. He is 2 for 6 so far in his brief major league career. Left-hand hitting catcher wearing number 70. He faces a pretty tough lefty in Eduardo Rodriguez. McGuire hit .233 with 7 home runs at AAA this year.
Yeah, there's some good actions with him at the plate. He really has a nice approach, and we saw him hit his first big league hit. It was a double off Dan Otero of the Indians. But he's got a nice approach, a simple approach, not a whole lot of moving parts in his swing. And last year he hit .295 over 3 different levels for the Blue Jays. For his career in the minors, he's a .263 hitter.
And a guy who came to the Blue Jays along with Harold Ramirez, who had a really nice year at AA New Hampshire this year, and Francisco Liriano. Really, when the trade happened, it was Drew Hutchison for Francisco Liriano. Oh yeah, and a couple of kids. And those kids are Harold Ramirez and Reese McGuire. And the reason was the Blue Jays agreed to take on the money, the contract of Francisco Liriano. And the Blue Jays said to the Pirates, okay, but if we're going to take the money, you got to throw a couple of prospects our way as well. And those 2 prospects look like they're turning into something. Harold Ramirez hit over 300 at AA, and here's McGuire in the big leagues.
Ramirez won the batting title in AA at New Hampshire, and McGuire, he's just 23. I think it's a terrific deal for the Blue Jays.
Ground ball the other way, scooped up by Nunez at third, 1 down.
The 2018 Honda CR-V, where style and versatility come together.
Dan Shulman, Buck Martinez, and Sean McKenzie here at Fenway Park in Boston. On a beautiful night for baseball, the Red Sox with an early 1-0 lead before the Blue Jays head down to New York for a 3-game weekend series with the Yankees starting tomorrow night. Top of the order, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. called out on strikes his first time up. And now he lines a sinking liner into center field. It'll get down in front of Bradley, and a base hit for Gurriel.
Well, Gurriel can really swing the bat, and to have a .287 average to start this game in your rookie season is pretty impressive. And that's a tough pitch, down and in. They wanted to go away, but he missed all the way across the plate inside, but it was low, borderline strike low, and Gurriel was all over it. I think we have to remember just how few games he has played as a professional in North America. It's been a real challenge for him, but boy, is he catching up fast.
Here's Solarte. There's a slow chopper back towards the mound, and the only play for Rodriguez is on to first. Solarte retired. Gurriel to second, 2 down.
It was interesting. Vasquez was hollering 2-2-2 right off contact. But Rodriguez never had thoughts of going to second. But you could hear the catcher holler 2-2-2, thinking they had a shot at getting that lead runner going to second base. But Rodriguez never even thought about it. He wanted to make sure he got an out somewhere, second out of the inning. I think that's the percentage play. You take a shot at Gurriel second, throw it into center, and who knows what happens.
So he's in scoring position with 2 down for Justin Smoak, who struck out in the first inning.
Take a look at this last play by Vasquez behind the plate. No.
2-2-2. No. 1-1-1.
Just kidding.
That's great. This ball's going to sneak through into left center for a base hit, and Gurriel will come in to score. Smoak with an RBI single, his 75th RBI on the season to tie the game at 1.
Well, there's another single. We talked about the Blue Jays haven't had many singles this season. They came into this ballgame with the fewest singles in the majors, but they have 2 now. And Smoak is able to drive in Gurriel to tie it up. Smoak stays on this pitch. That ball didn't get inside. And again, Rodriguez missed his spot. They wanted to go back door. You can see Vasquez is set up outside. The ball missed to the inside half of the plate, and Smoak drives in Gurriel.
So it's all knotted up at 1 now here in the 3rd inning, and here's Kendrys Morales, who had a double his first time up.
Watch this last pitch to Smoak, and the target by the catcher. It's outside, and watch where the ball ends up on the inner half. And that's what I always like about pitchers saying, well, I had a good game, only made a couple of mistakes. No, you made a lot of mistakes. You got away with most of them.
3 on the left side of the infield against Morales. So a gaping hole on the right side with the first baseman Moreland holding on Smoak. Now he comes off the bag as Rodriguez begins his move to the plate, but I don't know that you'll ever see more space between a first baseman and a second baseman than you're seeing right now.
And you can see they're pitching him inside to pitch to the defense, if you will. What Morales has to do is, in this ballpark especially, I'm not worried about that gap on the right side until I get to 2 strikes. Right now, I'm thinking about getting a ball I can drive off the monster or over it. Another changeup. Everything's soft, and that's meant to keep him to pull it. That's why you have the defenders on the left side of the infield.
Rodriguez has fallen behind 3-1 to Morales as the Blue Jays have already tied it here in the 3rd. Straight away in the outfield for the Red Sox against Kendrys Morales. Swing and a miss. 3-2.
Again, look where all the pitches are. They're off the plate or down, nothing away. And I don't think they're going to change their approach now with 2 strikes.
Kinsler was just asking the dugout, now that it's at 2 strikes, you want me to move back to the other side? And they told him no, stay right where you are. Smoak will be on the move. There he goes, and the 3-2, a swing and a chopper to the shortstop. Bogarts, lots of time to make the throw first, and that's all. The Blue Jays, though, will tie the game as Smoak drives in Gurriel. It's 1-1. the New Hampshire Fisher Cats up 2-0. And Bo Bichette, as the graphic says, continues to roll. He's been hot in the series, hot lately. Really, with the exception of a few weeks middle of the season, hot pretty much all year. He's had a terrific year, and so much focus on Vladimir Guerrero, and rightly so, at age 19. What he's done has been ridiculous. But what Bichette's done at age 20 at the AA level doesn't come along every day.
No, it sure doesn't. Bichette is 4.5 years younger than the average player.
Jackie Bradley Jr. lifts the first pitch off the monster. It's going to bounce way back in towards the infield, but Hernandez runs it down before Bradley tries for third. He'll settle for a leadoff double.
This is the most difficult play in this ballpark. That high fly ball, you get down in that left field corner, and you don't know whether to go in there and stay with it because it might not hit the monster, or if you get too close, it's going to bounce away from you. And this was the challenge for Teoscar. Jackie Bradley Jr., you can see where Hernandez is. He's over in the power alley in left center. And now he's got to get over there. Once it gets this close, the ball hits the green monster and bounces away from him. And this has always been the toughest play. Jason Bay told me when he played here with the Red Sox, that was the most difficult thing he had to learn, is how you play that high fly ball in that left field corner.
And it didn't end up costing the Blue Jays, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Luis Rivera talking to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. when they come back in. Now, they were in the shift, so he was on the other side of the infield, but doesn't the shortstop have to go out there and kind of help out the left fielder for just that play where the ball bounces way in towards the infield? There's a play for Gurriel. Bradley will take third, one down.
Well, let's go back to that fly ball, and this is the challenge you are faced with when you play as many shifts as these teams play now, because you're in positions that players aren't normally used to. If you're in your regular shortstop position, naturally he's going to run out there because that ball's going to carry him. Whether it's just down the line and it hits that little retaining wall short of the seats, or it's off the green monster. But now, because you're in the shift, everybody has a hesitation to say, ooh, do I go after it, or do I stay here? Do I go to second? They haven't played in the shifts long enough to get really instinctive.
It just makes me think back to what, kids, travel coaches, rep coaches, what they tell their kids. There's always somewhere to be. There's always something to do. Obviously, Diaz has to stay at third base in case Bradley tries to get to third. And maybe I'm making something when there's nothing there, but in this ballpark, the backing up responsibilities are more complicated than they are in any other ballpark in baseball as well.
And they become doubly tough because of the shifts.
Yeah, absolutely. The infield comes in for the Blue Jays with Kinsler at the plate. Runner at third, one out. To deep left field. Hernandez will make the catch on the warning track, but plenty deep enough to bring home Jackie Bradley. Sac fly makes it 2-1 Red Sox.
Now, there's nothing you can do in that situation. Is Kinsler, he's just such a good hitter. He knows all he has to do is get the ball in the air, and you're going to score a run. With Bradley Jr.'s speed at third base, he's going to be able to score on nearly any fly ball to the outfield, and Teoscar didn't have to play. He was trying to get himself in position, but the ball took him onto the warning track.
Yeah, nothing he could do really with the ball caroming off the wall as it did. Even if he'd gotten to it in a heartbeat, still would have been a double for Bradley, who took third on the ground ball and then scores on the fly ball. 2-1 Boston, and two down, to the bases empty for Mitch Moreland, called out on strikes back in the first. To get back to your point, Buck, about executing. Leadoff double for the Red Sox. They get him over, they get him in. Leadoff double for the Blue Jays in the second. They don't get him over, so the base hit they get later on that half inning doesn't end up producing a run. Blue Jays with a chance to turn a double play, they don't do it. Again, if you just look at a box score or a play-by-play of the game, the things might not jump out at you. But this series has been a telling illustration of how, home runs are important, and they win a lot of games, but sometimes the little things are really big, and one team's been doing the little things a lot better this series than the other. Yeah,
and I think it's really reflected in the win-loss column, because when you execute, you're able to score a lot of runs without getting a lot of hits all the time.
Lined into right field, a solid base hit for Moreland.
I think that's why the Red Sox are really heavy favorites to go deep into the postseason, because they can beat you in so many different ways. Boston has 109 stolen bases. That's the third most in the majors. And it's not a team we ever associate with stolen bases. But they have a terrific, well-balanced offense, a great defense, and the starters, if Sale pitches like Sale can pitch and Price pitches like he did last night and Porcello can crank it up, that's all you need.
That base hit by Moreland means that the inning continues, and now Gaviglio's got to face J.D. Martinez with a man on. And Martinez has already taken him deep tonight and has hit 3 home runs off Gaviglio this season. Now he lines one into left field, and that'll get down for a base hit. Moreland will stop at second on a single by J.D. Martinez.
Well, you just can't keep J.D. Martinez quiet very long. He was 0 for 4 last night, and he starts the game off tonight with a home run, and now he's got a single. Another breaking ball into the strike zone. Now, these great hitters like Martinez, they're very good breaking ball hitters. If you think back to last night, Sanchez struck him out on a high fastball and then got him to expand his strike zone and chase breaking balls away in the dirt. But, boy, you throw him breaking balls in the strike zone, he's going to hit them somewhere.
And Pete Walker, the pitching coach, to the mound. Walker was not with the team, had a minor medical procedure performed yesterday, so he was away from the team yesterday. Dane Johnson, the bullpen coach, took over as the acting pitching coach last night, but Walker is fine and back with the club tonight. And trying to help Gaviglio settle down and get out of this threatening situation here with Xander Bogaerts, the batter. Bogaerts grounded out his first time up.
Yeah, it's not like you're out of the woods once you get past J.D. Martinez. Look at those numbers. 21 home runs, 93 ribbies, and a .288 average.
Career high RBI total already for Bogaerts. Slider for a first pitch strike.
Bogaerts is just 25 years old. He'll turn 26 on the 1st of October, right after the end of the season. But he's become quite a clutch hitter. This is his 6th season with the Red Sox, his 5th full season. Came up in 2013 and played just 18 games, but ever since then he's been a regular and a good one.
Run in this inning to give the Red Sox a 2-1 lead, and then back-to-back 2-out singles by Moreland and Martinez. And the threat is still alive here for the Red Sox, who lead the majors in just about every significant offensive category on the season. And now Gaviglio and McGuire taking a little bit of extra time to get on the same page. And Mark Leiter Jr. has started throwing in the bullpen right now for the Blue Jays. Check swing and a ball that missed down and in. 2 balls and a strike. They don't help you out very much, do they? The top 5 hitters in this lineup.
No, they're very, very patient. They know what kind of hitters they are, and they're not going to chase many bad pitches. And especially hitting in this ballpark, they know that there are a lot of hits out there, not just at the Green Monster, but there's a lot of space in center and right.
Tough play down at third, and everybody's going to be safe. The bases are loaded.
That'll probably be scored a hit, but I think if Melendez Diaz takes another step to his right, he probably gets in a position to make the play. It was a hooking line drive that short hops the third baseman. He grabs it on the backhand and just gets a piece of it. I think he had time to take a step to his right But you can see how he was anchored there and just tried to swipe it. If he takes a step to his right, he might have had a better chance to make the play.
And it has indeed been scored a base hit, according to what we see on the scoreboard here on the Green Monster out and left. So either way, the bases are loaded now with 2 down. And here's Blake Swihart.
This lineup just keeps coming at you, one right after another. Lefties, righties, switch hitters. It's a very balanced attack.
And a lot of high stress pitches and difficult situations in the early going here for Gaviglios. His changeup misses down and away, 1-1. Leiter continues to throw. Just a 1-run game, and it's early, but John Gibbons obviously doesn't want to let anything get away. And also, given the standings and the situation, he's more inclined to try out different people, give everybody a chance to get into ball games, both pitching and positionally. Diaz, and he'll win the race to third base, and that'll force the runner, and the Red Sox will leave him loaded. They do get a run, though, and now lead 2-1 at the end of 3.
They picked up their 100th win, which means manager Alex Cora will have to find a little more room on his office wall. That's because Cora commemorates every single Red Sox win by posting a picture from the game on his wall. Now, according to an article by The Athletic, every photo is from the defining moment of that win. Now, if there's more than one defining moment, that's when things get a little interesting. Cora will have to have a debate with his staff as to which picture fits best, and ultimately they will hang the right one up. Now, I'm sure Cora is pleasantly surprised that he's used so much wall space this season, and with 6 more wins, 6 more pictures, that gives the Red Sox the most wins in franchise history. If you're a Red Sox fan, that is a beautiful looking wall, guys.
Yeah, obviously the first 3 times they won 100 or more games came in a shorter season, 154 games, but still having a tremendous year no matter how many wins they wind up with. 16 games to go and already 100 wins in the books for Alex Cora, who's the first-year manager to win 100 or more games since Felipe Alou did it with the Giants back in 2003. Randal Grichuk leading off the 4th for the Blue Jays, who are down 2-1. Grichuk struck out his first time up. And will be followed by Kevin Pillar and then Teoscar Hernandez. And pulled wide of third into left field, a base hit for Grichuk to get it started here in the 4th.
Randal Grichuk has never hit a home run in this ballpark, and he hasn't had an RBI in this ballpark as well. But here he gets the leadoff single, pulls it past Nunez, who is playing at third base. And Nunez has played better at third than he has at second this season, but that one's passed him into left field for a leadoff single. So let's see if the Blue Jays can do something with this leadoff base hit.
Here's Pillar, hit a fly ball to center, back in the 2nd inning.
We have seen the Red Sox use the hit and run against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays don't utilize it very often, but they've got 2 components now. They got a good base runner at first base and Pillar, who can put the bat on the ball at the plate.
Chopper towards third. Charging Nunez. Throw to first in time to get Pilar Grichuk to second.
Hurry in to earn 3 times the Aeroplan miles on everything in store and online. From September 12th to the 15th, only at Home Hardware. Here's how.
Nice look from up above at Fenway Park here in Boston. A 2-1 lead for the Red Sox in the 4th inning. Final game of the season between these two teams, and the Red Sox have had their way with the Blue Jays. They're 14-4 against them so far this year, but then again, they've dominated just about anybody. And the Blue Jays have really struggled within their own division against everybody who's not named Baltimore. Top 3 teams, I think, are 35-11, or to put it maybe in different context, the Blue Jays are, I think, 11-35 against Boston, New York, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, overall they're just 23-39 against the East, and it's been a tough year against the own division, and those 2 top teams have really worked them over. But the Rays have always been tough on the Blue Jays, no matter what kind of team they have.
Tampa Bay's already got 80 wins on the season. They've got the mirror image of the Blue Jays record. The Rays are 80-65. The Blue Jays are 65-80. The Yankees are in second place, 90-56. They're headed for the postseason, but they're just a game up on Oakland right now for home field advantage in the wild card game. High fly ball to deep left center field off the bat of Hernandez. And they collide out there. It's Benintendi to make the catch. A terrific play at the base of the monster by Benintendi for the second out.
Again, these are the real tough ones. Those high fly balls that look like they might scrape the green monster. And I'm surprised that one of those outfielders didn't back up the play. They both stayed with it. And Hernandez is out. But watch how the left fielder, Benintendi, and the center fielder, Brantley, both converge on the ball. I thought one of them would call for it, take charge, and then the other one would come off the wall to play a possible carry. But Benintendi made the catch, and Grichuk had to hustle back into second.
So that's the second out, and here's Aledmys Diaz now. He's 0 for 1. You just can't say enough how much being a home outfielder here in Boston, you got to play through it. You got to get the experience of all the tricky plays that can happen, whether it's off the monster in the triangle in right center, the pesky pull down the right field line. And you can just see the Red Sox outfielders. Firstly, they're really good, but they've also become very comfortable here in this tricky ballpark.
Well, and they're all very competitive, and they help each other out defensively. This is a surprise for me that both Benintendi and Brantley go for the ball. Benintendi's able to catch it. But if that ball hits off the wall, it's going to be multiple extra bases because it's going to bounce away, and they'll both be up against the green monster. I bet you that's when they talk about when they get back in the dugout. Said, you know what? One of us has to call for it. The other one has to play the carob if there will be one.
It's all happening a lot quicker down there, though, than it looks like it's happening up here or sitting at home watching on TV.
Yes, it does.
3-0. Let's see if Diaz has the green light. He did. Fouled it off. 3-1.
Yeah, but you see the pitch. It wasn't a 3-0 pitch to swing at. It looked like it might have been ball 4. So you really got to be focused when you get that 3-0 green light. Make sure you get a ball you can drive. I think you hit 3-0 like you might hit 2-0, where you're really thinking about being aggressive, but you want a good pitch to hit.
Good speed out at second, and Grichuk 2 down here in the top of the 4th. In the air down the right field line, Martinez coming over, has room. And that's all for the Blue Jays. They'll leave Grichuk aboard, and we go to the bottom of the 4th, still 2-1 Red Sox.
Watch every out-of-market regular season game, plus get a free subscription to MLB At Bat Premium. Blackout and other restrictions do apply. Visit MLB.tv to take advantage of this offer for a limited time, guys.
Thank you, Sean. We move to the bottom of the fourth inning. The Red Sox 2 and the Blue Jays 1. The hits are even at 5 apiece. Sam Gaviglio's back on the mound. Remember, Mark Leiter was up in the bullpen an inning ago. And there's activity in the Blue Jay bullpen even as we speak. And as we glance out beyond the right field fence, it's a lefty. It's Jose Fernandez, I believe, who's up in the pen right now. And the first pitch here with the bottom of the fourth is hit like a rocket off the green monster. Off the bat of Eduardo Nunez, who is on his way to second and is just in ahead of the tag.
You know, we talk about Teoscar and his improvement at the plate. Well, he's improved dramatically in the field as well, and he made this very close at second base. 22nd double of the season, but watch Teoscar in left field. He's going to run past the ball where it hits to get in position to take the count. And the ball bounces right to him. He barehands it and made it a lot closer than Nunez expected it to be. But this is a ball you know is going to go off the green monster, so it's just a matter of getting yourself in position to make the play. He did a good job with that.
Made it fairly close, but it's a leadoff double for Nunez. And here's Christian Vasquez, who was 0 for 1 on the night, bounced into a fielder's choice back in the second. Rafael Devers has come on to run at third for Nunez. Remember, Nunez on the way down to first in the second inning. Remember, he kind of stubbed his toe and might have rolled his ankle on that play. And obviously, well, not obviously, presumably, as we speculate a little bit, he must have aggravated that on his way to second base. So Devers comes on to run.
Well, as quickly as Devers got out there, you had to believe that they had a heads up before Nunez went to the plate. And go ahead and hit, but if you get on, we're going to pinch run for you because Devers was out there in a flash. Here's another situation where the Red Sox have executed with a runner at second base by moving him up, moving him over, scoring him. But it's much easier for the Red Sox to understand the impact of this than it is the Blue Jays at this point. Boston's getting ready to go in the postseason, and these types of plays can win or lose you a postseason series or maybe even the World Series. You got to take advantage of these leadoff doubles.
There are a lot of good teams, but I don't know that anybody. Houston might be right up there with Boston in terms of how many different ways the Red Sox can beat you. They can beat you with power. They can beat you with singles and doubles. They can beat you with their speed. They're one of the leading take the extra base or stolen a base teams in baseball. They've struck out the second least often in the American League. Their strikeout percentage is just 19.7% as Diaz will look to runner back. Of course, they can beat you with good starting pitching. They can beat you a lot of different ways.
And they have great defense, just like Boston, too. I think that'd be a great matchup. But with that out and Devers staying at second, John Gibbons has come out of the Blue Jays dugout, and he's already called to the bullpen for the left hand. Jackie Bradley Jr. is the scheduled hitter, the center fielder, obviously a left-handed bat.
And another one behind him in Benintendi, so that's the reason for the move here at Fenway. All right, Jamie, thank you. With the new pitcher for the Blue Jays, young left-hander, rookie left-hander, Jose Fernandez.
Fernandez, in his 6th big league game, made his debut in the month of September here with the Blue Jays, and he's got a good arm. Fastball will be 95. Breaking ball is popped up on the first swing. Fernandez is 25 years old. He's a little bit older than the rest of these September call-ups. He made his debut in Miami on the 1st of September. Picked up his first big league strikeout when he struck out Alex Smith on September 3rd against Tampa Bay. This is his 7th pro season. It's taken him a little bit longer to develop, but I like where he's at right now.
Double-A and Triple-A this year in 60 2/3 innings, only gave up 46 hits. Walks a little bit high, 31. Struck out better than a batter per inning. He's been in the Blue Jays system since he was signed as an undrafted free agent back in 2012. He is from the Dominican Republic. This is a perfect spot. Bring him in to face a couple of lefties. If he's going to have a chance to be a regular out of the bullpen in the big leagues next year, this is the kind of situation he's going to have to excel in.
And he's got enough velocity to get right-handers out as well, but this is his #1 priority. He's got to get the lefty bats.
So far locating well, and it's 2-2 on Jackie Bradley Jr.
I think Fernandez has an advantage on some of the other young Blue Jays pitchers in the minors in that he plays winter ball. He has played the last 2 seasons in the Dominican Republic, and it's very competitive, pitching against much more experienced hitters, and I think that has really given him an edge.
Ground ball pulled to second, up with it Solarte to retire Bradley for the 2nd out, and Devers comes to 3rd.
Now there's the example. The Red Sox weren't able to move Devers, the pinch runner, from 2nd to 3rd with nobody out. And then you force the Blue Jays to play it in. No telling where that ground ball ends up, and the possibility of a run.
So now Fernandez can get a tough left-handed batter, but Andrew Benintendi, he can get out of this. Benintendi is 0 for 2 on the night, has grounded out in both of his at-bats. Top 10 in the American League in on-base percentage. He is 5th in the American League at runs scored at 99. Again, overshadowed a little bit by the likes of Betts and Martinez, but nothing wrong with 38 doubles, 16 homers, 20 steals, 67 walks. Guy who does a little bit of everything.
Benintendi had his problems with Ryan Barucki in the first game of this series. Barucki really worked him over inside.
To center field, but right at Pilar, and that's it. Nice job by Jose Fernandez, getting a couple of left-handed batters. So nothing across. Still 2-1 Boston. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie, Joe, and Cliff in the Samsung broadcast studio.
#1 hockey community for 2018, Lucan, Ontario. Enjoy the fun as the Senators challenge the Maple Leafs. That's Tuesday on Sportsnet. We very well could see John Tavares in a Maple Leafs uniform for the first time. What we won't see in that game, though, is Erik Karlsson for the Senators. They dealt him to the San Jose Sharks earlier today. Guys, what a way to open up training camp today. Lots of excitement as we get set for the NHL season.
Sure is. Thank you, Sean. We go to the 5th inning here at Fenway. Red Sox 2, Blue Jays 1. Rafael Devers stays in the game at third base after pinch running for Eduardo Nunez, and it'll be the second at bat of the night for the Blue Jay catcher Reese McGuire. You know, for McKinney and Tellez last night, they faced David Price. McGuire facing Eduardo Rodriguez tonight. Again, 3 lefties starting for the Red Sox. So if you want to get these guys in the lineup, you got to get these left-handed bats in there against a lefty. But it's not like they were platoon players coming up through the system. If you're good enough to get to the big leagues, you're good enough to be a left-handed batter who gets to play against left-handed pitching in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I think the one thing, too, with McGuire and Danny Jansen both is they have played as regulars throughout most of their minor league careers, so they're going to get their fair share. The problem you have if you're Reese McGuire is you don't see that many lefties down in the minor leagues. Not like the situation here in Boston where all 3 starters are left-handed.
Strike 3 called. Let's get an update from Jamie. And a very interesting matchup between two, obviously, historically very competitive franchises, great franchises, in the Dodgers and the Cardinals. And as Jamie said, they are desperate for wins right now. Things are wild in the National League, no pun intended. Right now, the Cardinals are in possession of the second wild card spot, with the Dodgers just 2 games back. So it's obvious how important that game and that series is between those two. Atlanta, the Cubs, and Colorado are the division leaders right now in the National League, with Milwaukee holding down the first wild card spot.
The Cardinals have a tough road the rest of the way. They play 4 against the Dodgers. They're at Atlanta against the Braves for 3. Then they've got the Giants, Brewers, and at the Cubs. Tough schedule of trying to stay alive in that postseason hunt.
I don't know how many people would have thought that Atlanta and Colorado would be leading their divisions here in mid-September.
No, I agree with you. Everybody thought that this was going to be the Dodgers' year, and the Dodgers have had trouble. Kershaw is starting against the Cardinals tonight, but they have a 5-1 lead. But Dodgers have lost 11 of Kershaw's 21 career starts against St. Louis. Not the case tonight.
Boy, how good a job is Rodriguez doing tonight coming in on the right-handed batters?
Yeah, that's been his strength, and he got off to a great start. At the time of his injury, when he collided with Gurriel over at first base back in July, he was 11-3, and he was really off to the greatest first half of his career, and then that injury put him on the shelf for about 7 weeks. This is just his 4th start since coming off the DL.
Sale, Price, Porcello, and this guy, Eduardo Rodriguez, could comprise the postseason rotation for Boston. Look at the location, too. You can see Vasquez stood up, emphasizing the high target, and Rodriguez put it right there.
Yeah, Vasquez holding that target about letter high, and Rodriguez hits his spot, gets the strikeout. They suggested that Rodriguez is making his 4th start. It's only his 3rd start since coming off the DL.
Back-to-back strikeouts here in the top of the 5th, and here's Yannihervis Solarte, who was flied out and grounded out after going 2 for 3 with a walk in last night's game. 17 home runs on the season, 1 shy of the career high he set last year in San Diego, but of course a lot of the damage came early. He was hot in the first couple of months of the season, but has cooled off, then got hurt, has just come back recently, but has not been nearly as much of a factor in the second half of the year as he was early on. Jammed and a little pop-up for Kinsler, and that's an easy 1-2-3 inning for Eduardo Rodriguez. Going to bottom 5, 2-1 Red Sox.
presented by Honda. As part of Fan Appreciation Weekend, the first 20,000 fans will receive a pair of Blue Jays convertible mittens. That's Saturday, September 22nd, the Rays versus the Blue Jays. Go to bluejays.com for tickets and show up for your convertible mittens. Great for keeping your hands warm, equally convenient for texting as well, guys.
Which is in 2018, that's a thing. You got to say that. Thank you, Sean. Bottom of the fifth, 2-1 Red Sox. Blue Jays with one more homestand. They'll play the Astros and the Rays at home after this road trip. Ian Kinsler, a check swing foul off as we get going here in the bottom of the fifth. Kinsler, Moreland, and then Martinez for the Red Sox. With Jose Fernandez, who got a couple of outs in the fourth, back out there for the fifth inning. He might not get as far as J.D. Martinez. There's a righty up in the pen. And Kinsler with a lazy fly ball to shallow right, one down.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
Bullpen is up for the Blue Jays again. Mark Leiter is throwing. Fernandez is staying here with another lefty coming up in Moreland, the third lefty he'll face in the four batters, but wouldn't be a surprise to see Leiter come in and face J.D. Martinez after this. Boy, Fernandez can get Moreland even if he's taken out of the game at that point. He can walk off the mound knowing he has done an extremely good job here at Fenway Park.
Yeah, he is really kind of interesting because he's a left-hander, and Mesa looks like he has the upper hand as far as projecting into next year's bullpen, but it'd be nice to have Mesa and Fernandez in your bullpen.
No rule against two.
That's a good pitch.
Slower breaking ball.
Yeah. It's all a slider. He will cut the ball to right-handers, but the breaking ball he throws to left-handers, they're all sliders. Some just break a little bit bigger when he backs off the velocity bit.
And a fastball at 95. It's pretty good stuff here.
Yeah, now he can run the fastball inside. Everything he has thrown to Moreland has been away. And lefty hitters like Moreland, they try to take care of the outer three quarters, so there's a big opening inside now if Fernandez wants to go there.
But he missed down and away. And Bradley to ground out, and Benintendi to fly out back in the fourth. Kinsler flied out here to begin the bottom of the fifth, and now trying to deal with Moreland. And a bouncing ball for Solarte out in shallow right for out number 2. Now the only question is, and we've already got the answer. I was going to say, will John Gibbons let him face J.D. Martinez? And the answer is no. Here comes Gibbons.
He's already made the call to the bullpen, but a nice job by Fernandez. He gets all 4 batters he's faced here, pitches an inning and a third, and does a nice job. So he'll turn it over to Mark Leiter.
Kind of outing that can leave an impression. Well, Steve. Mark Leiter Jr. is into the game now for the Blue Jays. Third pitcher of the night. He inherits a 2-out, nobody on, J.D. Martinez kind of situation.
Yeah, welcome into the ball game and trying to get J.D. Martinez out. But this will be the 16th game of the season for Leiter Jr. as he started the season with Philadelphia. Not overpowering. He will throw a wide assortment of pitches. He's got a pretty good split finger pitch when he gets it down.
Martinez tonight has already homered and singled.
We heard Cliff and Joe talking about it in the break about throwing something inside to make J.D. Martinez at least aware of the inside part of the plate.
And they did right there.
Yeah, and any good hitter, I mean, you have to pitch him in different areas, and you have to make sure that he's not that comfortable looking for a particular spot in the strike zone.
The son of obviously Mark Leiter Sr., former big leaguer, and the nephew of former Blue Jay Al Leiter. And there's a ball in the dirt, swung on and missed by Martinez, and Leiter strikes him out. So he gets Martinez, and we're at the end of 5, still 2-1 Red Sox. Ball partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Blue Jays off to New York after the game tonight. 3-game series with the Yankees over the weekend, trailing 2-1 as they come up here in the top of the 6th, trying to avoid getting swept by the Boston Red Sox. And it'll be 3-4-5, Smoke, Morales, and Grichuk against a very effective Eduardo Rodriguez here tonight. In fact, it's Justin Smoke who has driven in the only run of the night for the Blue Jays. Did that with an RBI single back in the 3rd. He's been all over that inside corner to righties all night long.
He made nothing but quality pitches inside, and he does another job right there, spotting that fastball down and in for a strike. Smoke has had a couple of rough Septembers the last 2 seasons. He's got to run out of gas in both of the final months of the season. Combined coming into this game, he's at 179 over his last 2 Septembers with 4 homers and 12 RBIs. That's it. But he plays every single day, and he doesn't get many breaks, and it looks like he has kind of worn down towards the end of the season. 179 coming into this game with 117 at bats.
Blue Jays have an option on Justin Smoke for next year, and there was really no talk about this until Rowdy Tellez came up and started hitting the ball all over the ballpark, and everybody very excited about what they're seeing from Rowdy Tellez. But none of us should forget how good a player this guy has been for the last couple of years, and on both sides of the ball. Tellez with his 7th double in 7 games last night. The option on Smoke is for $8 million next year, and it's gone up a couple of times as he's hit certain plate appearance levels that have kicked in additional money being guaranteed to him next year. In this day and age, for a guy who puts up the production that he puts up, $8 million is not a lot of money.
No, he's really relatively cheap, and he's not going to turn 32 until December 5th. He's still a young guy. Anything about Smoke is you know what you get with Justin Smoke. When he comes to the ballpark ready to play every day, gives you great defense at first base. He's a switch hitter, has power. Of course, he had a career year last year, but he still hit 24 home runs this season.
Counts full now. Strike 3 called. Smoke got happy, thought it was outside. He's getting ready to take off the shin guard and head down to first. But he loses the argument, obviously, and that's strikeout number 6 for Eduardo Rodriguez.
Well, Smoke knows the strike zone very well. When you look at his walk total, he's got 77 walks coming into this game. That ball was off the plate. That's why he went down to unbuckle that shin guard. And then he's surprised to hear strike 3 call. Goes back and pleads his case with Chris Siegel, the home plate umpire.
Now Kendrys Morales. Morales tonight is doubled and grounded out. He's hitting .255, 21 homers on the season. Put the shift on again with 3 on the left side of the infield against him.
He has absolutely worn out that down and in strike right on the corner with the fastball. He's going to put it there just about at will tonight.
Pretty good 4th starter. The way things are lining up for the Red Sox right now. And in the division series, they're going to wind up playing. Could it be a number of different teams? Could it be the Yankees? Could it be the A's? Could it be Houston? If Oakland passes Houston and wins the American League West, and then Houston beats the Yankees in the wild card game, then Houston would play the Red Sox in a division series. Imagine that in the quote unquote first round of the playoffs, to have those 2 teams meeting up.
Boston is 3-4 against Houston for the season series.
Line to left field. Benintendi makes the catch. The Red Sox, of course, seem all but assured of having the best record in the American League. And there's Houston with 92 wins. They're 3 up on Oakland right now for the American League West. So if the playoffs were to start today, it would be the Yankees and the A's in the wild card game, with the winner getting the Red Sox, and that would mean the Indians would take on the Astros.
Yeah, and the one thing that New York certainly doesn't want to do, go out to Oakland and play in that ballpark against that team that's played so well in the second half of the season.
Randall Grichuk. You just can't say enough about the year that the Oakland A's have had.
No, and Bob Melvin's done a terrific job. They've lost 10 starting pitchers to injuries, and they're still closing ground on the Yankees and the Astros.
Another shining example of it's not a 25-man game. It's a 35, 40, 45-man game if you're going to have a good season.
Yeah, Oakland is playing tonight in Baltimore. Then they go to Tampa Bay to take on the Rays, and that'll be a tough series for them. Tampa Bay is playing great, especially at home. Tampa Bay is 46-25 at home.
Oakland, kind of like Milwaukee in the National League, they don't have that ace in the rotation who jumps out at you, but boy, they got a lot of other good pieces, a lot of other good parts. Swing and a miss. Grichuk strikes out for the 2nd time tonight, and that's 6 really good innings tonight for Eduardo Rodriguez.
Netherlands in a World Group playoff in Toronto. Milos Raonic, Denis Shapovalov, and Vasek Pospisil lead the way as Canada looks to be on the path to qualifying for the new-look Davis Cup Finals in 2019. Catch all the action starting tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, only on Sportsnet 1. Dan, bye.
Sean, thank you. An exciting time for Canadian tennis fans. A lot of terrific players, including Felix Auger-Aliassime, who was also part of that Davis Cup tilt against the Netherlands. And looking forward to seeing how that turns out over the next few days. Bottom 6, Red Sox 2 and the Blue Jays 1. And Mark Leiter's back on the mound for the Blue Jays, starting Xander Bogaerts with a strike. Sam Gaviglio went 3 1/3 tonight, gave up a couple of runs, earned on 6 hits, walked 1, struck out 1. Jose Fernandez leaving a very good impression on his bosses, facing 4 batters, 3 of them lefties, retiring all 4 batters he faced. Mark Leiter then struck out J.D. Martinez to end the 5th, and now back out there in the 6th.
Mark Leiter has only faced one of these Red Sox hitters in his career. That's Eduardo Nunez, and everybody else getting their first look at Leiter. So he might be well advised to be aggressive, take the upper hand here.
Out of play, 2-2. And the Blue Jays' other left-hander, Tim Meza, is now throwing in the bullpen. Switch hitter Blake Swihart on deck. The lefties Bradley and Benintendi are still a few spots away. Must be a totally different mindset for young players. Sometimes, you know, a guy gets hurt and you get called up, but you know you're just there until the guy comes back. That's not the case right now. These guys who are up, they know they're all getting a serious look for next year.
Yeah, absolutely a serious look. And there are going to be a lot of opportunities coming next spring training camp. Obviously, there's going to be some more turnover than we've seen already. Guys are coming to the end of their contracts. Marco Estrada's at the end of his contract. There'll be guys that won't be renewed. Will be non-tendered.
And a swing and a miss. 2 batters, 2 strikeouts tonight for Leiter.
Well, he had 2 good hitters. He gets J.D. Martinez to end the 5th inning, and now he gets Xander Bogaerts to start the 6th inning. This looks like a splitter from Leiter when he's out in front and on top of that thing. It gets great late action down and away.
Here's Blake Swihart, switch hitter batting for the left side against the right-hander Leiter. You know, nothing, you mentioned spring training. Most of the time it feels like, Buck, teams come into spring training really with 21 or 22 or 23 of the spots decided. You might have, you know, the last couple of spots in the bullpen, maybe a 5th starter, utility infielder, that sort of thing. And maybe that's the way it turns out for the Blue Jays, but it kind of doesn't feel like that right now. It feels like there will be a lot of healthy competition going on in spring training.
Yeah, and we won't know, obviously, until you get up near the winter meetings and they start signing some potential free agents. They extend contracts. Remember, they have to renew guys that are eligible for contracts. They'll submit some arbitration cases and all those things, and then you can have a better idea. There's a nice curveball from Leiter. But you figure there are a bunch of these young guys that have made such a positive impression that they're going to be almost penciled into roster, if not on the roster in ink.
And another strikeout as he gets Swihart 2 down.
Yeah, he elevated that fastball that time, and Leiter, he's got a fastball. He'll throw a changeup and a splitter, the cutter, and this time he just elevates that four-seam fastball, runs it upstairs to Swihart, who can't lay off of it. And so far, so good for Leiter.
Now Rafael Devers. And had Leiter been struggling, maybe Meza's in the game right now with a left-hand hitting Devers coming up. And what I mentioned, the lefties Bradley and Benintendi, neglected to include Devers there, who came on as a pinch runner for the right-hand hitting Eduardo Nunez. But with Leiter doing the job that he's doing, John Gibbons lets him stay and lets him try to complete the inning here.
Leiter with the Blue Jays, this is just his 4th appearance. He made 12 appearances with the Phillies prior to the Jays picking him up on waivers. Last year he made 11 starts for Philadelphia, part of 27 games that he was in.
Drilled down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is. A rocket off the bat of Rafael Devers to extend the Boston lead.
Just 21 years old, and we told you about the errors he's committed at third, but that's his 17th home run. And he swings a sweet bat when he's in there on a regular basis and things are going well. He's impressive. He's able to get to this inside pitch, and more impressively, he doesn't hook it. He keeps it straight down the right field line and gets around the pesky pole by a wide margin and hits it deep into the seats in right.
3-1 Red Sox after the home run by Devers. Christian Vasquez. Pretty good when you got a 21-year-old kid who's missed a lot of time with injuries, has 17 home runs, and he's no lock for the playoff roster. You got a good team.
Yeah, that's what you want. Lots of options, and people have been talking about what are the Blue Jays going to do with all these options. You keep them. You just enjoy the competition that it creates. When people are fighting for at bats, you're going to have a better team.
And that's why, as you say, getting back to the Blue Jays, at the beginning of next year, it's entirely possible that Tellez and McGuire and Pannone and some of the others, that they're still in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
That they start the year in Buffalo.
Yeah, there's no guarantee that we're going to see all these players break with the ball club next spring. I mean, you don't know who's going to be added to this roster, but there's no reason to rush these guys until you're absolutely sure they're ready to be everyday players, especially with a guy like Tellez. Yeah, he's gotten off to a great start, but it's September. And oftentimes people always remind you, don't get fooled by March or September. But Tellez, he could use a good start down in AAA next year. And we mentioned about Smoke, and you got to have some veterans on your team, and he's as good a veteran as you'll get. Good for the clubhouse, good for the young players, good for the veteran players. He just comes to work every single day, puts his work gloves on, and goes to work.
2-2. And this line into left field, a base hit. So after striking out the first 3 batters he faced, a home run and then a base hit, and now with a left-hand hitter and Jackie Bradley Jr. coming up, it'll be Tim Mayza coming in as John Gibbons is on his way to the mound once again. The Blue Jays, and after a 3-up, 3-down inning, started very well, did not get out of the 4th.
Yeah, he gave up a home run leading off the bottom of the 2nd to J.D. Martinez, and Martinez got him again for a single in the 3rd, but he was knocked out of the game, and Tim Mayza will be the 3rd reliever to work here. This will be his 29th appearance, and he's really thrown the ball well in the latter half of this year. He's gained more confidence in his ability to locate that slider. He's got a great fastball, and he and Fernandez are very similar in their arsenals of pitches.
It's just outside with that first pitch slider to Jackie Bradley Jr., who has doubled and scored and also grounded out. 3 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Red Sox. 1 run, 5 hits, no errors for the Blue Jays. Vasquez, the runner at first, being held on by Smoke with 2 down. Runner goes. Pitch taken outside, throw down, and not in time. Good for a slide, and Vasquez is in there. Catcher with his 3rd stolen base on the season.
Yeah, we mentioned the Red Sox run. They include everybody into this mindset. This is the 110th steal, and Mesa was very deliberate. Reese McGuire didn't have a shot at throwing out Vasquez. He got a terrific jump. Mesa not quick at all to home plate, and Vasquez slides in ahead of the throw.
110 stolen bases puts the Red Sox 2nd in the American League, behind only Cleveland. And that shows you with a catcher running in the 6th inning of a 2-run game that, Alex Cora, it's not just Bradley and Betts and Benintendi. He'll run at an opportune moment with just about anybody on the roster.
And Blue Jays, on the other hand, have 39 stolen bases. They're 29th in the majors. Only Oakland has fewer stolen bases than the Blue Jays. They just don't have any base stealers.
Pilar, the most legitimate of the group, he's got 14 of the 39 all by himself. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2.
The Red Sox run at a very high percentage as well. They have the 2nd highest stolen base percentage behind the Angels.
What do you think of McGuire there?
Very quick. He's very athletic, and he got to that ball very quickly, and he was able to corral it. Watch how quickly he moves over in front of it, and that's another textbook block. He got his glove down and got his body tilted in the right angle. Ken Huckabee, the catching instructor in minor league, is going to be thrilled watching the replay of that block.
Step off, and Vasquez almost got caught venturing too far from second base.
The only reason they can't make a play here is that Gurriel's too far behind the base. But you're right. I think Vasquez just assumed that Mesa was going to go to the plate, and he was taking a huge secondary lead. But that was not a play. That was just the inside move by Mesa.
Got him. Mesa strikes out of Bradley. The Red Sox, though, do get a run at the bottom of the 6th. The no doubt about it rocket down the right field line off the bat of young Rafael Devers. 3-1 Boston at the end of 6. like he is rounding into form nicely.
Yeah, it's a huge outing for him at this point in the season. He'll probably get 2 more starts, maybe 3 down the stretch, and they can align their rotation any way they want to. But to have Rodriguez throw 78 pitches over 6 innings, didn't walk a batter, and had 7 strikeouts. He was really good with his command inside and outside and mixed the pitches up very effectively all night long. Ron Brazier will come out of the pen. Second time we've seen Brazier in this series. He worked in the opener. Threw the ball very well, had an inning and a third. On Tuesday night, had a couple of strikeouts, and he is a hard thrower. His 28th game of the season, but you could see the strikeouts, just 26 strikeouts and 6 walks.
He'll face Kevin Pillar, Teoscar Hernandez, and Aledmus Diaz here in the 7th inning. Hard thrower. Blue Jays have seen him before. Lots of 98, a few 99s. Pillar's 0 for 2 and a fly ball to center and a ground ball to third. Blue Jays have scored just 3 runs in this series so far. And how about Red Sox pitchers, Buck? In now 24 innings of work, they've only walked 5 batters.
Yeah, and they're really aggressive, attacking the zone, throwing a lot of strikes, staying on these Blue Jay hitters, not giving them many hitter counts. David Price was terrific in his outing last night. Price, 7 innings, no runs on 3 hits, didn't walk a batter, much like Rodriguez had 7 strikeouts.
Down the right field line, but foul.
Brazier is really interesting because he's come on late in the second half, and he's probably pitched his way onto this postseason roster. The way he has pitched, he began his career with the Angels way back in 2007. He pitched a bit with the Oakland A's, and then went to Hiroshima last year, pitched in the Japanese League. Got into 26 games. There was a time when either a pitcher or position player, when they went overseas to play in Japan, they didn't come back. Now guys are going over there, getting work, gaining confidence, pitching a lot, building up their strength and coming back and having great years back here. Kobe Lewis comes to mind with the Rangers. He went over there and pitched a couple of years in Japan, came back and became a very good starter for the Texas Rangers.
It's just amazing that a guy, even though he was in Japan, a guy that throws this hard, had as much trouble finding work as he did, to the point where he sent an email to all 30 teams in the offseason just saying, hey, I'm going to throw, and I live in Arizona. Would you like to come watch me? And most teams didn't even show up, but the Red Sox were one of the teams that showed up, saw him, liked him, signed him, and here he is.
Well, and then once again, that speaks to the Red Sox and how good they are, because I don't think anybody has enough pitching where you can say, no, I don't want to see that pitcher. You got to send somebody there to check it out. I mean, you never really know when a guy might gain 4 or 5 miles an hour on his fastball, or gain more confidence, or have better command. I mean, how can you not send a scout there just to be in an area so he can see the guy pitch?
And maybe in being 30 worked against him, but you'd think throwing 98 would trump I'm 30, or I was in Japan last year and it didn't go all that well. I mean, I agree with you. You'd think that all 30 teams would line up just to take a look at 98.
He got into 26 games pitching in Japan and finished 12 of those games, and it's a competitive league. It might be AAA plus, but we have seen pitchers come back from Japan, and Dave Dombrowski, the GM and president of baseball ops, is not going to leave a leaf unturned, and he loves velocity, and he's got some concerns in his bullpen, and this guy might be an answer.
Teoscar Hernandez is 1 for 2 tonight. Got a base hit back in the second, and then it was the fly ball off the bat of Hernandez that Benintendi reached up and caught right up against the green monster in deep left center. Ground ball to second, backs up Kinsler a step, 2 down.
Hurry in to earn 3 times the Aeroplan miles on everything in store and online. From September 12th to the 15th, only at Home Hardware. Here's how.
Lots to see here at Fenway Park. between the white lines and all around the ballpark. They've really done a great job over the last 10 years or so, modernizing it in certain ways, expanding it in certain areas without losing the feel of one of baseball's two, the great old ballparks in Fenway and Wrigley. Here's Diaz with a drive to deep left center field, and Bradley will catch this one. Boy, almost the identical spot that Teoscar hit his back in the fourth. Bradley makes the catch, and Diaz looking out there for verification. The Blue Jays go in order as Bradley runs it down on the track. Still 3-1 Red Sox. Blue Jays take on the Yankees down in the Bronx. Blue Jays Central comes your way at 6:30 Eastern time, and then it's Marco Estrada and Masahiro Tanaka. The Jays and the Yankees in the first of three tomorrow night. Tim Mesa back on the mound, bottom seven, 3-1 Red Sox. Andrew Benintendi leads it off. Mesa came on to get Jackie Bradley Jr., struck him out to end the bottom of the sixth. Now Benintendi, who's 0 for 3 on the night. Of an example of a guy you can't really put a shift on. We talked about it last night, how he's, I think he had 48 hits to left, 58 to center, and 48 to right. So they play him to pull just a little bit, but you can see Gurriel still about 10 feet to the left of second base.
And the outfield is slightly opposite, especially in center field with Kevin Pillar. He's a tough out, and when you shut him down, I mean, you've got other bats in the lineup. There's your Danny Barnes loosening up for the Jays. There's that ball you were talking about earlier, sliced down the left field line. If that's a fair ball, that hits that angled wall down there, that wall girl, and then it bounced back into fair territory. That's the ball the shortstop has to go after.
Shortstop Gurriel will backhand the ground ball, throw in time. Benintendi 0 for 4. That's the first out here in the bottom of the seventh. There's been a lot of guys rotating around and subbing in and out, and people sitting who aren't really used to be sitting. But it feels like in the month of September, if you were going to pick one guy who's played one position more than anybody else, I think it's Gurriel at short. He seems like right now he's become more of a fixture than anybody else on the field. Even Smoke sits out every now and again as they work to Lesin. Pillar sits out every now and again. But Gurriel playing on almost an everyday basis at short. There's Solarte out at second, and the ground ball by Kinsler, 2 down.
Gurriel's played the last 9 games at shortstop, and the last person to play short other than Gurriel was Urania back on the 4th of September against Tampa Bay. And he has looked good. He's getting better and better each time he plays. Of course, the more reps you get, the better you're going to be. And he's gaining a lot of confidence.
And the more information the decision makers in the organization can get, the further along they will be heading into the offseason. Here's Mitch Moreland, 1 for 3. He's out there having a good outing so far, like the lefty who was in a couple of innings ago, and Jose Fernandez.
For some reason, it takes lefties a little bit longer to get command of their pitches. And we have seen that in the past with guys like Matt Thornton. That's a fair ball.
And Smoke will make the play unassisted. 3 up, 3 down go the Red Sox, and we're at the end of 7. Still 3-1 Boston.
Presented by Honda at the Model Clearout event. The real victory lap is the drive home.
Well, while we have a moment, there's a situation going on here in the greater Boston area that has caused some injuries and a lot of fear, actually. Some gas explosions going off north of the city in Andover, North Andover, Lawrence, and other communities. Something obviously has gone wrong with one of the gas companies, is the word that we are seeing online as we're taking a peek at it while we're doing the ball game. And tons of people have been told, get out of your homes if this is your gas company, and sending our thoughts that whatever has caused it is under control. There will be hopefully no further injuries, but this is a scary situation, obviously, for people living in this area. Meanwhile, here with the ball game, 3-1. With the Red Sox leading the Blue Jays, lefty Bobby Pointer into the mound for Boston. Danny Jansen comes up to pinch hit for Reese McGuire.
Bobby Pointer appearing in his 15th game of the season for Boston, and he too, like Ryan Brazier, might pitch his way onto this postseason roster. He's thrown very well since he's joined the Red Sox. His whip just over 1. He's got a good fastball. He'll elevate that fastball. Got a nice slider. So Pointer pitch in game 1 of this series. Faced a batter. Got 1 out. Gave up a hit.
He's popped Jansen up. Backpedaling his Kinsler into shallow right center, but he's there. 1 down. Back to the top of the order now for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. He's got one of the 5 hits for the Blue Jays tonight and has scored the only Jays run of the night. He singled it back in the 3rd and eventually came in on a Justin Smoke RBI single. He has struck out in his other 2 at-bats tonight. And now he hits a long fly ball to left field, and this is way out of here. Off the light tower, way up above the monster. An impressive home run for Lourdes Gurriel Jr. to make it a 1-run game.
That is a big boy home run right there. 8th home run of the season for Gurriel, and he absolutely crushed that ball. He got his fastball and he turned on it, and just like that, it's a 1-run game. Gurriel, his 2nd hit of the night, and when he gets a hold of it, there's not a park in the world that will keep him.
Number 8 on the season for Gurriel, and it's 3-2 as Solarte comes up. Solarte gets jammed and he pops it up. Who wants it? It'll be Vasquez, the catcher, 2 down.
Gurriel gaining more confidence at the plate, and this is a no-doubter high off the light tower in left field. That ball was going out of the ballpark here at Fenway Park. Well, that's a great feeling for a young hitter to hit one that hard and that deep over the fence. It makes it a 1-run game.
Gurriel still enjoying it in the Blue Jay dugout. It's a 1-run game now, and Alex Cora has made a pitching change. The lefty Pointer is out. The righty Joe Kelly's coming in. Park, and I think because Gurriel's running the bases, maybe Teoscar Hernandez is telling him, okay, go up about 4 levels on that light tower. It went between that one and that one. It went a long way. See how big my muscles are?
And they always remind you that they are still kids and they're having a good time playing this game. This is Joe Kelly making his 67th appearance of the series. Kelly pitched in Tuesday night's game. He just faced one batter. The only batter he faced was Randall Grichuk, and he struck him out.
He'll face Justin Smoke tonight. Smoke's 1 for 3, had an RBI single back in the 3rd. Red Sox 3, Blue Jays 2. In the first game of the series, the Blue Jays had a lead until the bottom of the 7th. Got away from them in the bottom of the 8th. They lost 7-2. Last night, of course, was a 1-0 game. Tonight's game, obviously, has been close the entire night. They've all been competitive games, but the Blue Jays have just not found a way to win a game in this series yet. And again, going forward into 2019, you really start to look at some of the individual performances more than the wins and the losses. But for the 36 guys who are on this expanded September roster who are here, I mean, you want to win. It gets old in a hurry walking out of a ballpark with a loss every night.
And nobody wants to be the other team's doormat, that's for sure, especially when you play in the division leading Boston Red Sox. Now you're going to go to the Yankees next, and the Yankees are trying to secure their postseason position. You'd like to be a spoiler against one of these teams. And then they'll have 2 more series with Tampa Bay.
And the world champs, Houston.
And oh, by the way, Houston.
Be interesting to see as Smoke will take a walk. It's funny because he thought that was a strike, but it was ball 4. Last time he was unhappy that what he thought was ball 4 was strike 3.
Yeah, it was maybe a little makeup. Here comes Jonathan Davis to run for Smoke over at first base, but it looked like that was a pretty good pitch, and it went in Smoke's favor this time.
And we're just thinking ahead to tomorrow night in the series with the Yankees. It'll be interesting to see how the young players, whichever one of the ones of the new guys are in the lineup, how they handle Masahiro Tanaka and that splitter in the way that he attacks hitters.
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to see Rowdy Tellez in that game and play first base tomorrow against Tanaka because Sabathia is going on Saturday.
Billy McKinney will play against his old team.
Yep, that'll be fun for him.
Here's Morales tying run at first, and he's got speed in Davis. And they're grumbling at Joe Kelly, which they have been doing a fair bit lately. Kelly's had really an up and down season and struggling for his control right now. Well, they put Davis in motion. We'll just hope Morales can find a gap and that Davis can score from first.
Morales really got jammed on that lineless pitch. Tim Leeper and Jonathan Davis looking across the diamond at Luis Rivera to see if they can pick up a stolen base sign.
Not going. And it's going to be a base hit over the head of Kinsler. It drops in front of Martinez. To second on the play goes Davis, and the inning's still going here for the Blue Jays.
Jonathan Davis, I don't know that he got a real good read on that ball. He hesitated around second like he was really unsure if he should try. And this is a 2-out base hit. He's got to bust it around second and make the third base coach stop. But you can see how hesitant he was. He stutter stepped once he got around second. But with 2 outs, you just got to fly around the bases and look over there. And you can see he was indecisive as to whether or not he should go. So Morales gets a base hit. He's lifted for another pinch runner as Dwight Smith Jr. has taken over at first base. So Smoke and Morales both out of the game.
So the tying run is at second. The go-ahead run is at first with 2 down here in the 8th inning. And a meeting on the mound for Joe Kelly and company with Randall Grichuk coming to the plate. And now Davis talking it over with Luis Rivera, maybe getting a set of instructions about something going forward here. Blue Jays with a home run by Gurriel this inning. Smoke walks. Morales singles. And now with a couple of pinch runners aboard, a chance for Grichuk to make this really interesting. Red Sox 3, Blue Jays 2 here in the 8th.
Remember, Grichuk struck out against Kelly, the only man Kelly faced on Tuesday night. That ended the 8th inning. So Grichuk gets another chance against his former teammate Joe Kelly. They played together in St. Louis.
And a good block there by Vasquez.
Vasquez very good and quick behind the plate. That ball is way out in front, but you see how he blocked the 5-hole with his glove and played the ball off his chest protector. Got a good angle on it because he turned his body and kept that ball close to home plate.
Not the ratio you're looking for. 2 on, 2 out. And the 1-1. Check swing by Grichuk. They appealed, didn't go. Ball 2.
That's a tough pitch for Grichuk to lay off. It looks so inviting, but Kelly's got a good fastball. He has hit triple digits with his heater. Got to make him bring it down.
It hit him, yep, and that'll load the bases. Just grazed him. And they're booing again at Fenway as now Kelly has loaded him up.
Yeah, they don't mumble under their breath here at Fenway Park. They let you know what they're thinking, but Kelly has come in here, given up a walk, a base hit, and hit a batter. And now he's got the bases loaded. It's just barely grazed Randall, but he'll take it. He'll take his base, and now Pilar gets a whack at Joe Kelly.
Pretty restless for fans of a 100-win team, but again, Kelly has been kind of at the eye of the storm for fans on occasion here in Boston because of the ups and downs he's had. He's facing a guy in Kevin Pilar who's seen him a lot, and Pilar's had a lot of success against Joe Kelly to the tune of 8 for 20. Bullpen's getting busy now for Boston. Blue Jays looking to jump on Kelly and try to take the lead here in the 8th inning. And Pilar chased a bad ball up and in.
Yeah, you know what? When Pilar has success against Joe Kelly, he's hitting strikes, and he knows that he's hitting well. He got a little over anxious there and chased that first fastball.
Speed on the bases for the Blue Jays. Davis at third, Smith at second, Grichuk at first. And Pilar hoping to put them all in motion here with one good swing of the bat. Chased another ball out of the zone, 0-2.
Joe Kelly.
What have you done for me lately? Like really lately. Let's see how it turns out. You can't blame Kelly for trying.
Yeah, it's got another fastball right upstairs. 99 miles an hour. Kelly's a former starter, so he's got a full complement of pitches.
1 ball, 2 strikes, bases loaded, 2 down. And that hit him. Ran in and hit him in the right arm, and that's going to force in the tying run.
Home plate umpire Chris Siegel asked the first base umpire if there was a swing involved, but Pilar gets hit by the pitch, and the Blue Jays have tied it. A very unlikely way to tie it up. 2 hit batters in the inning.
And a painful RBI for Kevin Pilar, with again Kelly trying to ride one up and in. Right off the outside of the right hand, man. That's got a smart. And now Billy McKinney has come out to pinch hit for Teoscar Hernandez. Here comes Alex Cora. That's going to be all for Joe Kelly, and he is not going to be sent off the field very favorably by this sellout crowd here tonight at Fenway. A walk, a base hit, and he hit a couple of batters. They're hoping they can count on him come October, but a rough one for Joe Kelly tonight. and then hits back-to-back Blue Jays to eventually force in the tying run. This is the one that grazed Grichuk's jersey to load the bases, then the one that hits Pilar on the outside of the right hand to tie the game.
Kelly was ahead of Pilar 0-2 and lost him by hitting him. So Kelly does not record an out. A walk, single, 2 hit batters in a row. He's out of the game. Now Brandon Workman comes in. Workman making his second appearance of the series. He's got a big arm too. He came in relief of Chris Sale. Started the second inning. Pitched just 1 inning in Tuesday night's game. Walked the batter and struck out a batter.
In a big spot now for Billy McKinney coming off the bench to bat for Teoscar Hernandez. Tie game now here at Fenway. Bases loaded, 2 down. Breaking ball fouled off. Big cut there by McKinney. Just got a piece of it.
That is such a good pitch from Workman on the first pitch. Everybody in the ballpark knows that the pinch hitter is anxious. He wants to get a base hit in this situation. Workman's got a very good curveball, and he's able to get ahead of Billy McKinney with that first pitch curveball. McKinney has not faced Workman before this at bat.
We've seen McKinney grind out at bats, foul off pitches. He's choking up as he always does. 0-2. Couldn't catch up with that high fastball.
For me, this is a guy that's really the key to their success. I think he's got the stuff to pitch meaningful innings in the middle of ball games. And he just hasn't been consistent enough. He's got good fastball and a very good breaking ball.
And he's got McKinney right where he wants him at 0-2. Sellout crowd better than 36,000 of any standing now at Fenway before time is called. The first run this inning for the Jays and a long home run by Lourdes Gurriel Jr. The second run, the tying run. And the bases loaded, hit by pitch. And Billy McKinney trying to give the Jays the lead. 0-2. Got it. Elevated that fastball again to end the top of the 8th. Blue Jays 3, Red Sox 3. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here are Jamie, Joe, and Cliff in the Samsung broadcast studio. A 3-3 tie.
A lot of changes as Danny Barnes comes in, and he'll inherit the tough part of the lineup. Martinez, Bogarts, and Swihart. Danny Jansen came in the game as a pinch hitter. He'll stay behind the plate defensively. And there have been a lot of moves, a couple of pinch runners in the game. Billy McKinney stays in the ball game. He was a pinch hitter for Teoscar Hernandez. He is in left field. Over at first base, Rowdy Tellez will take over for the pinch runner. as Jonathan Davis was inserted into the game as the pinch runner. Dwight Smith Jr. is still in the game in a DH spot. He pinch ran for Kendrys Morales.
How's your scorecard looking right now?
A little messy. Looks like a spring training game.
That's exactly right. Here's J.D. Martinez, who has homered, singled, and struck out. Martinez, Bogaerts, Swihart, 4, 5, 6 in Alex Cora's Red Sox lineup, facing Danny Barnes, who is the 5th pitcher of the night for the Blue Jays. Boy, the two lefties, Jose Fernandez and Tim Meza, both did their jobs tonight. Each of them retired all 4 batters they faced.
Yeah, they were very good, and you know, I just think that as they continue to get more work here in the month of September, they're going to kind of solidify their opportunities, at least in spring training.
Popped up right side, and this will get back out of play. Meanwhile, in the Red Sox bullpen, their closer Craig Kimbrell now beginning to warm up.
Looking ahead to the top of the ninth, it's 8, 9, and 1 for the Blue Jays. So Kimbrell will come on to this game.
Right out to Solarte on a hop and on to first, 1 down.
Blue Jays have handled J.D. Martinez when they get the ball in, especially in above the belt. That time he got jammed a bit, grounds out to the second baseman. Both of his hits tonight came on sliders down out over the plate.
So now Xander Bogaerts 1 for 3, hit an infield hit in the 3rd inning. This game is tied at 3 apiece after the Blue Jays scored 2 in the top of the 8th. Trying to get out of here with a win before they head down to New York for a weekend series with the Yankees. The big news in New York baseball, and usually the Yankees dominate the headlines, but I think the big story in New York baseball today involves the Mets. David Wright, who has been out for a couple of years now, back, shoulder, neck ailments, just unable to get right, is going to be activated, and it sounds like he's going to play on September the 29th, I think is the day that they singled out. But Buck, it sounds like almost a ceremonial, get him on the field one last time, and then it looks like David Wright will probably retire at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they had a press conference and had a little meeting about it, but he's not played since May of 2016.
Wow.
He's undergone 3 major surgeries from that time until now.
That'll get past Diaz into left field. McKinney will have to chase it to the base of the monster, and Bogaerts is on his way to second.
Well, these hitters know this ballpark so well. Once that ball got past Diaz, Bogaerts had nothing but second base on his mind. His 42nd double of the season, and it's a ground ball past the third baseman. And Bogaerts busted out of the batter's box. Billy McKinney's got a long run, plays it off the wall perfectly. But Bogaerts never hesitates out of the batter's box. Once it's past the third baseman, he's thinking 2 all the way. He knows this ballpark, anything down the left field line is going to be a tough play for any left fielder, and he slides in safely.
So the go-ahead run, the potential tie-breaking run, is out at second base with 1 down here in the bottom of the 8th. And Barnes will face Blake Swihart. Swihart's 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Bogaerts with pretty good speed out at second. Play. Obviously, in this situation, if you're a Blue Jay outfielder and there's a base hit coming your way, all you're thinking about is get that guy at the plate, keep this game tied. McKinney, because of how close the Green Monster is out and left, can play closer to home plate actually than he typically would in left field. There goes the runner, swing and a miss, and no throw. How about that? Bogart steals third.
Well, we told you this team will run the bases very well. That's their second stolen base of the ninth. The catcher got one in the sixth. And now Bogarts picks up just his seventh steal, but what a big 90 feet that is. Changes the entire complexion of this inning.
Well, clearly the element of surprise. Usually you see that kind of a steal with one out and a right-handed batter at the plate so that the catcher's view is partially obstructed, so it's a little bit tougher for him. But we've seen on a couple of occasions tonight Alex Cora will run in situations that aren't typically running situations.
Yeah, Cora does a terrific job utilizing the weapons he has on this team, and he's constantly in conversation with Ron Meneke, the bench coach, about the options that are there for them.
Infield has to come in, and this one is popped up. Solarte backpedaling, can't make the catch, and the Red Sox will take the lead. Boy, and that had trouble written all over it from the beginning. And again, the infield in made it a tougher play. Certainly appeared he had time to get underneath it, but just never squared up, and it cost the Blue Jays dearly.
Well, you put pressure on the defense to make plays by stealing third base. It'll be an error on the second baseman, Solarte. But watch how this thing unfolds. The infield is drawn in. It's a high pop-up, and there's plenty of time for Solarte to get back, but he never turns around and runs back to get to the spot. He's still twisting around. That ball hits off his glove and drops safely in the outfield in shallow right. And that ball got a little action on it, and it hits off his glove, and Bogarts comes in and scores easily. Seventh there of the season charged to Solarte. But how about the way this inning's developed? One out. Bogarts gets a double, ground ball past the third baseman, then he steals third. And it looked like Blue Jays were going to get out of it with the pop-up, but Solarte couldn't make the play.
Batter Rafael Devers, who homered his last time up.
I'm going to show you how the third base coach becomes so important in a play like this. The infield is drawn in. Now watch Bogarts. He sees the shallow pop-up. He turns to the third baseman. What do I do? What do I do? He said, get down the line. They're going to catch that. But when they don't, he scores easily. But Bogarts, a great player that he is, still wasn't really sure what he should do in that situation. So he turned quickly to Carlos Fabulous and says, what should I do? Great job by our cameraman and tape crew there to catch that.
No point in tagging. If he catches it, you're not going to score on something.
You can't score anyway, but Bogarts was really unsure of what to do. And Fabulous said, you got to get halfway.
Moving through the count on Devers. And it's funny, when the ball went in the air, Gurriel started coming over towards Solarte. I'm not implying necessarily that he sensed there was trouble, but he was in the vicinity. Not that he distracted Solarte or anything like that. I think he was just over in case he was needed, and he, in a sense, might have had an easier angle on the ball, running more laterally to his left as opposed to backpedaling. But you made a great point. Solarte never kind of turned and ran and got to the spot. He was just kind of trying to get underneath it, backpedaling, twisting a little bit, and never got set up.
Yeah, he just shuffled back instead of taking some big strides to get in position.
And I think because the infield was in, Gurriel knew right away it was a tricky play, and he was there if needed, but Solarte appeared to be underneath it, and the ball was more in his vicinity, so it's not like Gurriel would ever call him off or anything like that.
It's not like there's any wind either that's messing with the ball. I mean, it is dead quiet here right now.
Runner goes, and the pitch will get past Jansen to the backstop. The count is now full, and it's a stolen base is credited to Swihart on the play. That's the third steal of the night for the Red Sox. And the steals belong to Vasquez, Bogarts, and Swihart, who came into the game with 12 combined stolen bases, and they've got 3 tonight.
And that ties him with Milwaukee for the second most in the majors.
And a swing and a miss, 2 down. And here comes the guy who hurt the Blue Jays. Well, he's hurt them both nights, really. He had a 3-run homer on Tuesday. He had a key base hit in the middle of the rally, if you will, that led to the only run of the game last night. This is Brock Holt.
He's hurt them all season long. Brock Holt, coming into this at bats, hit .352 against the Blue Jays, 19 hits, a home run, 11 RBIs. He has really had his best season against the Blue Jays.
And you got a base to play with here if you want to be careful with him. You got Jackie Bradley Jr. on deck, who can hurt you too, but the way Brock Holt has done damage against the Blue Jays, not the worst thing in the world if you put him at first base.
When he hit that home run, it was interesting how Mitch Moreland was on deck. Brock Holt was sent back up. Red Sox thought Mesa was going to come in and pitch to the left-hander, but it wasn't the case. Mesa stayed out in pen. Brock Holt hit the 3-run home run.
And activity now in the Blue Jay bullpen with David Paulino getting up. Barnes has had to throw 21 pitches so far here in the 8th. Obviously the Solarte error costing them a run and making the Barnes pitch count climb. There are 2 outs. Play on at second, but the runner is back. Two and one. Blue Jays will have Diaz, Jansen, and Gurriel coming up in the 9th inning. Kimbrel ready to roll out in that Boston bullpen. Jays fighting back and accepting a gift from Joe Kelly to tie the game with 2 in the top of the 8th, tying it at 3, and then the Solarte error figuring in heavily here in the bottom of the 8th to give the Red Sox the lead again.
It's just so difficult to put the Red Sox away in this ballpark. They have Kimbrel down there, which gives them a lot of confidence even going into the 8th inning in a tie game. They say, well, we got Kimbrel down there. They're not going to score. Let's see if we can scratch out a run here.
Change up, taken in the dirt, full count. Swihart, the runner, out at second with 2 down. And strike 3 called to end the 8th inning. But an error leads to a run and gives the Red Sox the lead heading to the 9th. On the vac, it always bats cleanup.
Well, we go back to the 8th inning with 1 out, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. unloads on a high fastball from Bobby Pointer and hits a deep home run high off the light tower in left field. Came off the bat at 99.6 miles an hour. He projected to hit it 390 feet. It's his first career home run here at Fenway Park. And at the time that got the Blue Jays with their run, they would tie it up later on in that inning, and now they have followed behind by a run.
And here's Craig Kimbrell going to do what he's done, as you pointed out, Buck, better than 300 times in his major league career. He's looking for another save.
Picked up his 39th save of the season in last night's game. He had a couple of strikeouts. He walked a batter, but then was able to strike out the final batter of the game. Kimbrell appearing in his 58th game of the season. 39 for 43 in save opportunities, and they don't hit much off him. Just 153 for the season.
Aledmus Diaz, Danny Jansen, and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. due up for the Blue Jays here in the 9th inning. Diaz is 0 for 3. First pitch swinging, he's popped it up. Bogarts back into shallow left, called off by Benintendi. 1 down. Now for a preview of what's coming up next on Sportsnet Central. Here are Brendan and Ivanka. Elliot Friedman's having a big week. Had Matthews and Tavares. Now Connor McDavid. Hockey season is upon us. Here's Danny Jansen, who popped up in his first at bat of the night. Came on as a pinch hitter for Reese McGuire in the 8th. Curveball popped out of play 0-2.
Yeah, we talked about it with Kimbrell. He's a 2-pitch pitcher. He throws a hard fastball and a hard breaking ball. And sometimes that breaking ball has a wide sweeping break to it, and sometimes it's just a short, hard biter.
Up high with a fastball. Gurriel, who hit a long home run, an impressive home run his last time up, waits in the on-deck circle. Two down.
That's a tough fastball. It's almost like he gets under it and pushes it and has a lot of late movement, and it tails away from right-handed hitters. Watch how he gets underneath this ball and just elevates it and strikes out Jansen. It's a pop up and now a strikeout, and you can see that tight spin. That ball just hops up there to home plate.
I think the first pitch here is really interesting. Gurriel, you got to imagine he's a little anxious, wants to swing the bat, gear up for the fastball. You wonder if Kimbrell starts him with a curveball. He did. And there's a down to a knee with a big swing. You can't blame Gurriel. You're the last out. 1 run ties it. You know he throws 99. But Kimbrell was thinking along the same lines and crossed him up. In the air to right field. This should do it. And it will. The Red Sox win the ball game and sweep the series. 3 games with a whole lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda from a Blue Jay perspective. This series could have turned out